A young waiter hurried across a crowded dining room, carrying a tall silver cup, while jazz spilled through the air, and exhausted travelers laughed between bites. Before he reached the table, someone grabbed the glass, took one sip, and smiled, as though the entire country suddenly felt hopeful again. It looked like an ordinary milkshake, yet its story stretched across centuries of surprising twists, unlikely inventions, medical experiments, booming businesses, and changing American dreams. Believe it or not, one dessert drink traveled farther than many empires. Today, Americans drink hundreds of millions of milkshakes every year. But almost nobody realizes the first versions were nothing like the sweet treat waiting beside a plate of fries. By the time the Second World War ended, America was ready to move again. Families bought cars in record numbers, suburbs expanded, and highways stitched the country together. Along those roads, sparkling diners welcomed hungry travelers with glowing signs, polished counters, and spinning stools. Right beside burgers and fries sat the milkshake, now served in tall glasses crowned with whipped cream. It had become more than a drink. It was a symbol of optimism, convenience, and everyday celebration. Everything changed because technology kept improving. Commercial blenders became faster, refrigerators more dependable, and dairy distribution more efficient. Restaurants could serve consistent milkshakes almost anywhere. Chains discovered that customers returned for familiar flavors, while local diners competed by creating signature recipes. Chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry remained classics, yet peanut butter, banana, coffee, and malt inspired devoted followings. Every town seemed to have a favorite that locals insisted nobody else could match. But nobody expected television to become one of the milkshake's greatest allies. Commercials showed smiling families sharing meals, teenagers laughing in booths, and couples clinking frosty glasses. Hollywood reinforced the image, turning the American diner into a cultural icon recognized around the world. Even audiences who had never tasted a milkshake understood what it represented: comfort, youth, and simple happiness. The real story, though, included another twist. Behind every creamy sip stood millions of dairy farmers, truck drivers, factory workers, and restaurant employees. Entire supply chains depended on reliable milk production and refrigeration. Improvements in farming increased efficiency, while advances in food safety helped protect consumers. The milkshake was never just an indulgence. It reflected enormous systems working together to deliver fresh ingredients every single day. Then came the fast food revolution. National restaurant brands realized a thick, cold drink paired perfectly with salty fries and sizzling burgers. The combination became one of the most recognizable meals in modern America. Drive-through windows placed milkshakes into countless cup holders, making them companions for road trips, family vacations, and late-night cravings. What once required a pharmacy counter could now be ordered within minutes almost anywhere. You'd think that would mark the end of the story. It wasn't. Health concerns gradually changed public attitudes. Nutrition experts warned about excess sugar and calories, while consumers searched for lighter alternatives. Some predicted the milkshake would slowly disappear. Instead, businesses adapted. Smaller portions appeared beside towering deluxe versions. Frozen yogurt, plant-based milk, protein blends, and reduced sugar recipes attracted entirely new audiences. Reinvention once again kept the drink alive. Meanwhile, chefs transformed the humble milkshake into an artistic canvas. Gourmet restaurants experimented with handcrafted ice cream, exotic spices, caramelized fruits, cookies, candies, and even savory ingredients. Towering creations covered with donuts, brownies, and colorful toppings spread rapidly across social media. People traveled remarkable distances simply to photograph extravagant shakes before taking the first sip. A beverage that once claimed medicinal benefits had become internet-famous entertainment. Historians sometimes debate which innovation mattered most: refrigeration, soda fountains, electric mixers, highways, or fast food restaurants. The truth is that none of these developments worked alone. Each built upon earlier breakthroughs. Every generation inherited an existing idea, improved it, and passed it forward. That steady evolution explains why the milkshake has survived changing fashions for well over a century. Think about it. Few foods have successfully reinvented themselves so many times without losing their identity. The ingredients changed. The equipment changed. The places serving them changed. Even the reasons people ordered them changed. Yet the feeling remained remarkably familiar. A milkshake still promises a brief pause from ordinary life, a small reward after a long day, or a shared moment with someone you care about. And that's where the story circles back to the waiter carrying that silver cup across the crowded dining room. The customer wasn't simply buying milk, ice cream, and syrup. They were tasting decades of invention, entrepreneurship, scientific progress, changing culture, and countless personal memories blended into one glass. From a curious medicinal mixture containing whiskey to a beloved diner classic recognized across the globe, the milkshake's journey reminds us that history often hides inside the most ordinary things. Sometimes the sweetest traditions begin with the strangest ideas, and sometimes a simple sip carries an entire century of human creativity.